Okay, good Shabbos. Make sure I got the right greeting for today. Welcome back, Shul again. Last time I saw you guys, you looked pretty hungry. Now you look hungry for the Torah. Baruch Hashem, you came back again after Yom Kippur and survived Yom Kippur. So this week we are finally back to our normal parashas, or our regular parashas, our regular reading for the weeks. No special readings that we had to scroll all the way back to. But in saying that, though, this week's parashah is not entirely normal, right? Because it is the song of Moses, Parashat Haazinu. And you guys just saw the beautiful structure of how it looked in the Torah scroll, right? Now, the parashah and the song of Moses is very poetic, beautifully written, sometimes difficult to read and to understand. You know, there's a lot of esoteric meanings in there as well. But it's poetic, and it talks about the past, it talks about the present, it talks about the future. He's got reproof for what we've done in the past, but he's also got prophecy for what's going to happen in the future. It really is a song for the ages that Moses has written for us. So much so that our sages have a famous saying when it comes to this parashah and the song. They tell us that this week's parashah contains within it the entire Torah, all of Jewish history, all of Jewish life, and even every single person's name is found in this very parashah. This one little parashah has got all of that. After all, towards the end of the parashah, at the end of the song, in verse 47, Moses says to them about the Torah, he says, "For it is not for you an empty thing. It is in fact your life." The Torah is in fact your life. It is not an empty thing. This means, according to the sages, that every one of you guys sitting here today, your name and your life story are found in this very parashah, in this song of Haazinu. Have you ever wondered if someone would ever write a song about you? I wonder this sometimes. I keep seeing these ads online lately about for Father's Day. The best gift you can give your father is a song about him. There's people that literally do this for money now. They write songs about someone and you can give that to them as like their birthday present. I really think this is a great idea. I want to try that out sometime. But the sages tell us that there is already a song written about you. Okay? There's a famous song written about me. I don't know if you guys know it. It's the one about today I don't want to do anything. You know that song? Yeah, that was written about me. Right? So the sages tell us that Moses literally wrote a song about you. Can you believe that? Is that hard to believe? Do you believe it? Don't you believe it? Well, today I want to tell you guys a little story from a famous one of our rabbis by the name of Ramban Nachmanides, who also had a disciple. You might have heard the story before. We've never told it here at Shul, but I'm going to tell it here at Shul. Who had a disciple by the name of Avner. And Avner heard the same teaching and he had a problem with it. So the story goes as follows. Ramban was giving classes in yeshiva, and it came to Parashat Haazinu, and he gave this teaching from the sages that said every single person's name and their destiny and what they're going to do in life is found in this single little parashah, this one chapter, 32 of the book of Deuteronomy. And this Avner, who, by the way, was an absolute genius of a student, he lost it. He thought, all right, that's enough. I've had enough now. You've gone too far, you and you crazy rabbis with all your crazy ideas. How is it possible that every single human being's life can be recorded in one little chapter, in this one little song of Moses? You're just making up stuff to sound cool. At that point, Avner decided he's done with this religion. He decided to leave Judaism. Eventually, he converted to become Catholic Rabbi Avner. And not only did he just become a Catholic, he became a very prominent Catholic. So much so that he was actually answering to the king of Spain in that days. And he became the #1 anti-Semite in that day and age. He wrote books upon books and polemics against Judaism, trying to disqualify things that Judaism believed in. This was Avner. So a few years went by, and one Yom Kippur came along. He decided he's going to stick it to his old teacher, Ramban Nachmanides. So he actually went and sent the king's guard to go and fetch Ramban on Yom Kippur. Maybe they had a long break between the Yom Kippur prayers. Who knows? Maybe Ramban was running for the hills. Maybe Ramban wanted to go and forgive him, or thought this guy was going to ask for forgiveness. Who knows? So Ramban went with. And when Ramban arrived in front of Avner, Avner took out a chazir, a pig, slaughtered it in front of Ramban, cooked it on Yom Kippur in front of Ramban, and sat down and ate it. Instead of Rosh Hashanah apple dipped in honey, he took the apple out of the pig's mouth and dipped it in honey. And he ate this on Yom Kippur in front of Ramban. And he said to him, Ramban, my teacher, how many commandments have I broken which are liable to death? the death by kares, which is to be cut off by heaven, literally divinely killed by God. And Rambam said to him, well, you have broken 4 of these commandments. Whereupon Avner, who I'll remind you was an absolute genius, said to Ramban, wrong! I have broken 5 of those commandments. You counted wrong, Ramban. See, a little bit of it. So Ramban looks at him, and he says to him, if you were such a promising, such an amazing yeshiva student, why did you ever leave yeshiva in the first place? And Avner told him, it's because of the teaching you gave on Parashat Haazinu, that every person's life, every person's name can be found in that little song of Moses. Utterly ridiculous. How am I supposed to believe something like that and carry on saying that I believe in the system of Judaism? So Ramban looked at him and Ramban said to him, give me a few minutes to pray. I'll be right back. Ramban went to the corner of the room, prayed to Hashem, and he came back and he said to him, Avner, I have found your name and I have found your life in Parashat Haazinu. Fetch me a Chumash. So he fetched the Chumash and he opened the Chumash and he said to him, go to chapter 32, verse 26. Any of you guys have a Chumash in front of you? You can go to 32, verse 26 and see this for yourselves in the Hebrew. Or you can watch this video later when you get home as well, and you can also check it out there in the Hebrew. So he says, look at 32, verse 26. Every third letter of every word in that verse, I want you to read that for me. So 32, verse 26 starts off by saying, Amarti. The third letter of the Hebrew word Amarti is a resh, an R. Okay, so that's the first letter. Next word, Afehem. Third letter is an Aleph. So we've got an R, and then we've got an A. Next word, Ashvita. So you've got a bet vet. So you've got an R, you've got an A, and you've got a V. Next word, May Enosh. The Nun is the third letter in that word, so you've got an N. And the last word there, Zichron, remembrance. The Resh again, the Resh at the end. What does that spell? We've got an R, and we've got A-V-N-R. He says, it says in this very Torah portion, your name, Rav or Reb Avner. But not only that, not only is your name in this Torah portion, listen to what the Torah is telling us in this very verse, because those words say the following, talking about how sinful Israel is. And it says, I will cast them away. I will eliminate their memory from humanity. Ramban said to him, see, Reb Avner, I have not only found your name in this very parasha, but I found exactly what you have become, a castaway. Your name will forever be forgotten from the nation of Israel for what you've done today on Yom Kippur with this people. And Avner stood there shocked to his core. He couldn't believe it. Can you imagine opening the Bible one day and finding your name hidden in there? And then you read what it means, and it describes your life exactly to the T. He was shocked to his very core. For some of us, that'll be easier, because some of us have biblical names, right? Like Judah, for example, right? Or a lot of the Johans and the Johns over here, the Yochanans. But Avner, when he heard this, it really shocked him to the core. So much so that that day on Yom Kippur, he felt regret and he wanted to return. And he said to Ramban, Ramban, what does this mean? What must I do with my life? And Ramban says, well, do what the Torah says. It says you disappeared. So disappear. The story goes on that Avner got on a ship leading to nowhere without a captain, and he drifted off into the sea and he was never heard of again. Okay, so that's how the story ends. Now, the Rebbe, the Hasidic Rebbe, Rav Shneerson, comes along and explains. He says, wait a minute. We know now that Reb Avner actually went and became a Baal Teshuvah. He repented and became a righteous individual. How do we know this? Because what does the Torah say his name is? Reb Avner. It starts with that Resh. And we call him Reb only if he deserves the respect. So from that, Hasidic belief is that he repented and he became a Baal Teshuvah till the day that he died. So that's the end of the story. Interesting story, hey? Now, think about yourself, because similarly, this means that all of our names and our lives are also recorded in this very parasha. Would you like to know where? If you want, there's these crazy guys on the internet. They call the Bible code something guys. Search them up. They can do this for you. I don't know if they charge a fee or not, but they do this. They spend all day and all night searching Bible codes. You download this app or this program on your computer, and what it does is got these algorithms, and it takes all the Hebrew letters of the Torah scroll, and you can assort them in different shapes and columns and sizes, and they find hidden things in the Torah for you. For example, they have found the Holocaust dates they found in the Torah codes. They found 9/11. They found Osama bin Laden in the Torah. Can you believe that? They even have, I saw this yesterday while I was looking up these guys, they even tell you the date of the rapture, the exact date. It says, I found out, I figured it out with Torah codes. Don't share with friends, it says. Don't tell people. Right, so there's a bunch of these loonies out there. These are adult versions of the Looney Tunes. They're out there and they use these things. And the truth is, if you look at these Torah codes, you can actually find anything you're looking for in there with all these permutations. You can do that even with any old book, your high school Macbeth book. You can do that and find these things in there because you're trying to push ideas into these algorithms that aren't really there in the first place. So be careful of these things. But it's not only them, even within Kabbalah. In Kabbalah, we've got this idea of the Torah scroll. We all know the Torah scroll and the Hebrew letters, right? They've got a system called the Ashbat system, where you can take every letter in the Torah and change it to its pairing letter. So the pairing letter for Aleph, Aleph is the first letter of the alphabet. Its pairing letter is the last letter of the alphabet, which is of course Tav. So when you translate the Torah with the Ashbet system, whenever there's Aleph, you substitute it with a Tav. Whenever there's a Bet, you substitute it with a Shin, etc., etc. And there's a whole Torah that you can write like this. And within there, many people look for Torah codes as well and try and find their names. So if you guys have got free time and not much to do with your lives, you're welcome to go and try that out. I would not recommend it. But anyway, nevertheless, this idea that our lives and our names are recorded in this week's parasha is actually a very powerful idea. We always talk about find yourself, right? You can find yourself in the Torah. You don't even have to fly overseas, right? To go to some weird meditation excursion. You can find yourself in the Torah. And the Midrash comes and points this out for us on this week's parasha. The Midrash comments on that very verse that I quoted to you in the beginning that says, the Torah is not an empty thing for you. It is in fact your life. The Midrash points out in the Hebrew, we're translating this wrong in the English. How do you say for you in Hebrew? That would be lachem. Lachem is for you. It doesn't say that in the Hebrew. In the Hebrew, it says, this is not an empty thing. Mikem. Mikem means from you or within you. So the Midrash points out to us and explains, if you find anything in the Torah, or if you read the Torah and you think to yourself, this has absolutely no application, this makes no sense, this is an empty thing in the Torah, it is not the Torah that's empty, it's Mikem. It's inside you that there is an emptiness, just because you can't find something in the Torah. That's what lacks meaning, not the Torah. Your understanding of the Torah is what lacks meaning. Don't be like Avner, who heard this teaching and said, this is nonsense, and he gave up his entire religion. There was nothing wrong with the parasha. There was nothing wrong with the Torah. In fact, his very name and his life was already recorded in the Torah before he decided to abdicate and to go off on this crazy Catholic journey. It comes from you, Mikem. Torah is perfect. There's nothing wrong with the Torah. For example, we see the same with when Israel broke the covenant, right? When Israel broke the covenant, did God decide, oops, I need to make a new covenant and change the Torah? No, he said, I'm making a new covenant, but I'm changing the people inside you. It's the exact same Torah, but God said, this time I'm not going to write it on tablets of stone. This time I'm going to take out the stone heart inside of you and give you a heart of flesh. And then I will write the exact same Torah on that flesh. Because the Torah is good and perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. Paul even tells us this in the book of Romans. Right? He changed the people, not the Torah. So in relation to our names, to your very name and your very life being found in this week's Torah portion, this tells us that we have a job. We have to be careful on how we treat the Torah, how we read the parashas, how we study God's word. Are we going to be like Avner and decide, this thing is empty for us? Or are we going to find meaning in ourselves and put the meaning into the Torah? Because the Torah is not empty. We are responsible for giving every word of the Torah meaning in our lives. We're about to enter a new cycle of studying the Torah. Next week, when we do Shemini Atzeret, we're going to start again from Genesis. We're dedicating ourselves to the Torah again. It's basically a covenant renewal ceremony. How are we going to approach the Torah in the year ahead? Read the Torah like it's an autobiography, because you are in there. As it says in the verse, it is not an empty thing for you. It is your very life. Shabbat Shalom.